you can get a reduced price for 2 red mana symbols on a permanent.
Also true.
So who knows what this will be in the future.
All right, and that brings us to green. And we start with a huge fucking dinosaur.
Cutest of all of them, really.
Ancient Brontodon.
But flavor text is just a bad tautology, and I love it.
It is taller than all but the tallest trees and older than all but the oldest.
Just
that literally doesn't mean anything.
I just love it. It's as if the dinosaur tried to be wise and was talking to me directly. I just love it.
Yeah.
Like a dead dinosaur friend trying to talk up his friend, you know?
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, it's cute.
Well, unless we're gonna see if there's like big mana explosion things. Otherwise, 8 mana is a little much.
I mean, oh man, I love it.
Yeah, I love the colors on all the dinosaurs. They're so cute. Atzocan Archer, 2R for a 1/4 reach. ETB, have it fight something. That's
it's the
sweet.
Strangest fight creature I've ever seen in my entire life.
Yeah,
and I love it.
It fights for 1? What?
You can pump it if you have time, quick, you know? But,
yeah.
like, it's all right. I mean, nothing wrong with the card. It's basically like a do 1 damage to a creature an opponent controls, which makes this card great. I love this card.
Yeah, it's sweet.
Fighter, although it doesn't turn off a lot of raid enablers, so it's not as deterring. But the fact that it is a pretty reasonably priced blocker.
You get to eat 2/1s and tokens and stuff that would be thrown away to raid.
Yeah.
Both eat it with the ability and the fact that it's a 1/4 that, like, if they end up using, you know, a fucking trick to get past it, you're not worried about. It just fights a creature, not necessarily theirs. So you can, like, use Enrage on some of your smaller Enrage guys as well.
Oh, hey. Wow. Man, that adds a lot of flavor because look at that bow. It's got dinosaur feathers on it. So there's that is not an accident.
Yeah. Flavor-wise, I don't know why it's fighting, because archers are long-ranged. You know, it should just be deal damage, not fight.
Well, I don't think you're really considering the emotional toll that war places on its soldiers. You know? So, like,
you're right.
It's narrow, but it feels the damage.
You're taking the damage back in the form of, like, PTSD.
Definitely.
Yeah. I like that card. Blinding Fog, 2G instant fog to creatures, and creatures you control gain hexproof.
The oddest card so far.
Really weird.
It doesn't fog players, which I was kind of hoping it would. I mean, that's what I want fogs for generally. I mean,
correct.
Not really doing your job, but okay, let's see what you got going, you know. And the hexproof is like, well, you cost 3 mana, like you better get
Yeah,
hexproof.
I can't leave that up all the time for the removal spell.
This card should go last pick, but I have a feeling, like other fogs of this nature, it will be misevaluated, then taken higher than normal, and you'll see it in the first 4 or 5 rounds of sealed tournaments pretty regularly. So just keep your eye out for this combat trick that is bad and shouldn't see play, but will see play because historically it's misevaluated.
Yeah, I'm like the first guy to be like, oh wow, this fog is actually pretty playable, you guys, and this is not one of those.
Yeah, and every other set, there's a playable fog these days. In the past, it was almost never playable, like Moment's Peace and Tangle and then nothing, right? But these days, safe passage is like the norm, so you should watch out for these kind of things. But this one is not safe passage.
Correct. Blossom Dryad, 3 mana 2/2, untap a land. Sure.
I mean, late Druid is, you know, he's old. He
cast the fucking dinosaurs.
Dryad. It's weird that it's a Dryad. I mean, it'd be cool if it was like a mana dinosaur, but I mean, it wouldn't make any sense. So
yeah. Carnage Tyrant, 6 mana 7/6, can't be countered, trample, hexproof, because
this is gonna fuck up.
Because control was so dominant in standard that they needed fucking Gaia's Revenge.
I mean, this card is not beatable in limited, just on the face of it.
Obviously,
this card, you can't beat this card in limited. You're dead.
So the 6/7 hexproof couldn't be beaten.
You play it and you can't even cancel it. They're dead. I mean, there's no way around it.
Yeah.
I mean, you could maybe that card that bounces all your opponent's permanents, but they're dead. I mean, let's just be honest with it. But this card actually changes the landscape of Magic in a non-trivial way. In the same way that Gaia, what was that one, like 8/5?
Yeah, Gaia's Revenge.
Gaia's Revenge. This is a Gaia's Revenge level kind of card where it will crop up until the rest of time. It will see play. This is a very, very powerful anti-control with targeted removal kind of card, and it will make people remember that they need to respect the game.
I suppose. Whenever they print a card like this, I'm like, God, I hope that means they're going to push counter spells in the next set and they want the safety valve in place.
Never do.
Never do.
No, this was the weakening counter spells, was printing this card.
Colossal Dreadmaw, 6 mana, 6/6 trample. Oh, Crowworm, how far you've fallen.
Well, and the card next to it, too. I mean, let's say common versus mythic. I mean, now we know.
Yeah. It's a good illustrative example for new players what rarity means.
And I think the fact that they're right next to each other alphabetically is not an accident. I think they want people to know, like, this is where your money goes.
Yep. Commune with dinosaurs. It's commune with nature, but only for dinosaurs.
It's an odd name. It's kind. On the nose doesn't begin to describe it. It is on the horn.
It's like. Has there ever been a card that its name is just its rules text? You know.
There has been. Fade Away is similar.
I want it to be like small pirate, and it's just like a 1/1 pirate for 1.
Flying Men.
Yeah, there you go, Flying Men. I like that. This is one of those, like real on the nose.
Yeah, and the fact that it's a complicated card in its own right is impressive. That they could get this through committee without like laughing over themselves and saying, "Oh, but seriously."
Yeah.
But the fact that this like made it through like the "No, we're seriously doing this" phase is impressive, and I have to give it to them.
Yep. Hats off to you, Dino lovers. Crash the Ramparts. 3 mana +3/+3 and trample until end of turn. A little pricey for a combat trick, but you get what you pay for.
As long as it has trample, you can make a high power buffing spell as expensive as you want it to make, and it will eventually kill you when you're when you're least expecting it.
Yeah, this and like the fact that it gets both sides, like it gets your 2-drop over their 4-drop, or kills them with your 6-drop when they try to jump it.
There's decks where I'd want to play like 2 of these, and I wouldn't feel bad about it. But mostly, just be aware that this card exists because you don't want to lose to it for your emotional well-being. Yeah,
it's definitely a card that like you put 1 in any deck, and you'll put the 2nd in a lot of decks, and then the 3rd one's really bad.
Yeah, but it's not. Don't treat it as playable because it might save a creature. That's not going to be a large sell. It needs to be because you have a lot of big creatures and you're trying to kill your opponent. Not like you want to make sure your combat tricks will be good in combat. Like this is not a giant growth. It's
if you use this before turn 6, that's its plan B usage.
It's a more versatile threaten, really.
Sort of. Crushing Canopy, 3 mana instant, kill a creature with flying or kill an enchantment. Now you're talking. I like this a lot more than that other thing.
Yeah. It's
is what it is.
Still kind of narrow in this set.
Super narrow, but at least it's an instant. It has a line of flexibility and is an instant, you know? We can't get it all. We don't just get disenchant anymore, so we have to like take our little flexibility spots a little we got to treasure them.
Yeah, it should cost 1 mana, but oh well.
Probably. Death Gorge Scavenger, a 3/2 for 3 dino. ETB or attacks, you may exile a card in a graveyard. If a creature card is exiled, you get 2 life. If a non-creature card is exiled, gets +1/+1 until end of turn.
Wow, this card's
Scavenger.
This card's really good.
It is, and it's very flavorful.
Yeah, you leave it alone long enough, it's gonna get like super big. And it's like and it looks sneaky.
Well, it's only until end of turn. It's not a +1/+1 counter.
Oh,
yeah,
it
should be a +1/+1 counter, but
this is much worse, but still very good.
Yeah, it's solid. I like it. Deep Root Champion. This is one of the few cards that I have seen because it had like the ramifications are so great that there's no way that I wouldn't have just seen this be talked about. But it is a 1/1 for 2 Merfolk Shaman. Whenever you cast a non-creature spell, put a ++1 counter on it. So Miracle Grow was a deck in 1999 or some shit.
Stand Still My Heart.
Yeah, that just used Kyrian Dryad and all of the cantrips and cheap card drawers available.
Back when Gush was a Lotus Petal that drew you 2 cards.
Yeah.
Oh man, the times were so different.
And like, if you got it to a 4/4, they just couldn't kill it.
Back then, there was no spell that killed Mystic Enforcer, and I'm not being hyperbolic.
Right.
It was Source of Plowshares or Diabolic Edict or nothing.
Yep.
And so you'd play like cards. It just reminds me of a different time. The fact that it's a merfolk and that it's non-creature instead of blue or like any color that's not green or whatever makes it kind of worse. If it was going to be like used in a merfolk capacity.
Right.
So like it needs to be in like a blue-green merfolk deck with lots of spells.
It's not even a merfolk deck. It's a grow deck, right? Like
I guess what I mean to say is the merfolk part of it isn't going to be relevant, and that saddens me.
Yes.
It's like they just threw it in because they knew it wouldn't matter, and that's like sad.
Well, it's they at least they gave it to us in a set with opt and the 2-mana draw 2, discard 1 if you haven't attacked or whatever. Like they're trying to make it work. They're trying to make it happen. There's a couple of cantrips or cheap card jars already available. I don't think it'll work, but it's something that everybody's going to try. Everybody that
What do you think came first, Opt or Deep Root Shaman?
What do you what?
What do you think came first, Opt or Deep Root Shaman?
Oh, that's a good question. I think Opt had to be like in the file from the start. I think Deep Root Shaman is one of the cards that like somebody designed and keeps trying to push and keeps getting pushed out of the set, and this is just the one that it got into.
Yeah, and
maybe because of Opt, but I think Opt was like one of the first cards in the file.
This should have been a 0/1 hexproof.
That'd be way too good.
It'd be good.
It'd be way too good.
Maybe.
Think about like Vine Lasher Kudzu.
But non-creature makes it so like it has to be like a certain deck,
Yeah.
This ain't Tarmogoyf, you know what I mean? Like I don't know. Maybe it would be too good, but as it is, it just feels like when it's good, a lot has to go right.
Yeah.
It's just not the same game it used to be. It should have been like a 1/2 or a 1/3 even,
It definitely would have been better at pretty much any other point in history, which is why I don't think it's good. But it's just super interesting because they don't print cards like this anymore.
Yeah, when they printed Korea Dread, it was like a Hello Kids moment, It's like dude, it's print a new one. We don't want it reprinted and being bad. It'll ruin our memory of it.
Yeah.
So I'm glad it has a new name, at least.
Deep Root Warrior, 2/2 for 2. When it becomes blocked, it becomes a 3/3. Sweet.
That's fine. It's a 2/2 that's difficult to block. It has Bushido effectively. That's wonderful. I mean, this is the kind of like green 2-drop that allows for green to be good and limited.
Yep. Agreed. Somebody in the chat said Deep Root champion with Rancor. Yeah, in Modern you're going to have way more shit to do with it, including just like a wider swath of cantrips and cheap counter magic. Like you get mana leak with this that you don't get in Standard.
You also get Phyrexian mana spells.
Yeah, it's a whole new ball game in Modern. The problem is that just like creatures aren't good in Modern because they're like this gets fatal pushed, and that's a death knell for a creature.
Yeah, I love Deep Root Warrior, man. I love like they don't make 2/2s for 2 that have Bushido in this way. They just don't do it.
Yeah.
So this reminds me of Night of the Holy Nimbus. It's really good.
Yeah, it's not quite Night, but it's good. It's really good for raid early. It's a merfolk, which apparently matters. It's a
Take
cool
it
card.
Highland. This card's good.
Drover of the Mighty, 1/1 for 2. But if you control dinosaur, it's a 3/3, and it taps to add a mana. Super busted card. Probably first pickable.
Right, like historically, 2 mana for a 1/1 tap to add a color mana. Usually it has a restriction, like choose a color or a color you control.
And those cards are top 5 picks.
That makes any color. It would already be a 1st through 3rd pick in any limited format in the dark. And the fact that it can grow when you have dinosaurs makes this card like a 1st pick in any green deck that has 4 drops.
And you're already trying to, like, if you have a 2-drop that makes a mana, dinosaurs are clearly part of your end game.
And it helps you splash.
It's not a big ask. Yeah, it helps you splash with the treasures.
The red monster core too. So this card's so good.
Yeah, it's awesome. It's first pickable for sure. The thing I was talking about earlier with extending the purpose, where like Lay of the Land now also is like insane at every point in the game. This is another example of that. Like normally the drawback of putting like a mana elf in your deck is if you draw it on turn 12, it's like a semi-dead card. But this is just a 3/3 for 2. Like that's its fail case. Is it's a very efficient, solid creature.
Yeah.
There is no fail case basically.
Yeah, it's like a it's almost werebear. It's better than werebear in that you can tap it for your other color mana.
Yeah, exactly. Emergent Growth, 4 mana sorcery. Creature gets +5/+5 until end of turn, but it must be blocked this turn if able. But not by everything, just by one thing.
By in general, which is actually the best fixed lure thing they've ever done. I've loved that they start changing things to must be blocked. Do something about this versus having no choice and just block with everything because it made poisonous and all that stuff too good. That being said, this card is, I could imagine playing a single copy of this, but I imagine like many other cards, I'll be losing to it a lot more often than I'm winning with it.
It's going to be a card you sideboard in Dinosaur Mirrors, where like you play your 4-drop dinosaur, but they play their 5 or 6-drop dinosaur, and you just eat it.
If you can tap their creatures to like get them to a certain way, there's a few cards in the set that like let you tap them. I'm not sure there are commons or anything.
Well, they have to tap their Drover the Mighty and their Blossom Dryad to cast their giant dinosaur, and then you eat it.
Yeah. Or like leave open the room for them to make an alpha attack and then play a creature, and then kill that creature they just played with this. Basically, it's not the worst creature in the world, and it's good when they're tapped out and have no blocker as well, because it's kind of like a Lava Axe-ish kind of thing. But it's not a card that it will work on its own. Like,
there's also like double strikers and like things that get trample. Like if you just put this on your 5/5 trample that already hit them once, they might just be dead. Right. People are saying edict, but like it's not edict. It's better and worse than edict. It's more situational, but has higher upside, higher potential. Edict will never get their best creature unless they have exactly one creature, whereas this will often get their best creature if they don't, even if they have other creatures.
Idea for an edict. Just a quick aside. What if this kind of inspired me? Like, what if it's like target opponent sacrifices an untapped creature. If they can't, they sacrifice a creature.
I mean, that's a slightly better edict.
Well, but I think they haven't really touched on that, which Emergent Growth kind of begins to do that. Like they have to sacrifice an untapped creature. But it's a design space I'd never considered, which would be like a more interesting version of do I attack or not attack with my creatures kind of stuff.
Well, it's a better version of Punisher, where it's like you can play around it, and then you actually have to make a decision if you didn't play around it properly or whatever. But yeah, the Emergent Growth comparing it to an edict, I think, is a disservice to like the dynamic nature of the card. I think that it does a lot more and is a lot bigger of a card, even if it's a lot narrower. This
is more about the +5/+5.
Yeah, you can fucking win the game with this thing. You can't win the game with an edict, you know? Like, sometimes people will just die to this. Other times you'll get their best creatures. Other times, yeah, it'll be an edict. Like, it's worst case is an edict, right? It's worst case is that you have to play it and you get their worst creature. But if their worst creature is tapped at any point, if it makes mana, if it's a flyer, or if they just cast a big, giant creature, you can like bounce the other blocker that they were gonna use end step, untap, play it on your huge trampler, you eat their thing and deal 4 damage to them. Like there are scenarios that you can set up that this card does a lot more and more splashy things than an edict ever could.
It's true in that there's like, it's like Hunt the Weak and Stonewind Invocation, but it's closer to Stonewind Invocation in terms of like it's a game ender more than it's a bad fighting card. But the fact that it can do both means that if you're wily enough and skilled enough, you can create the game state where this would be good if it's in your opening hand. But off the top of your deck, it might not do what you want to do like a lot of the time.
Right, which is why I think that it's going to be a sideboard card more often than not. If you're somehow an aggressive green deck, it might just be fine to put in your deck. But I think that for like mid-range mirrors, it's actually going to be worth sideboarding in. It's
super interesting card it's one of those cards where if you're like, what could they have? This is the card they could have had.
Yeah, exactly. And those cards always have innate value for existing.
Yeah, the existence alone creates anxiety.
Yes. All right, moving on finally from that weird onion that people are gonna underestimate, I think. Emperor's Vanguard, 4 mana, 4/3, already on board. Human Scout, it explores whenever it deals combat damage to a player.
Yeah. I mean, good and limited, not going to see constructed play.
Nope, does not pass the Jace test, doesn't even pass the Lightning Strike test. It might have been constructible if it was a 3/2 that explored on ETB. And
also
hit that.
Yeah. or even like it's not a good test taker.
No. No, no, no. But very good and limited.
Yeah.
And another card that, benefits from like trample or like you emergent growth your other guy, so you eat their one blocker and this thing gets a hit in.
Cloud Crown Oak is next.
No, that's a dual card, I assume. Because we're on Grazing Whiptail.
Same card.
What?
Oh no, I was messing up. I was saying that there's the Tree Folk. That's the same card as this. I was just like saying.
Oh yeah. And that card was busted.
Yeah,
and Tree Folk wasn't even the creature type that mattered. Tree Folk mattered a little, but it was mostly elves for green.
Right.
This is the relevant creature type.
It gave the elf stacks reach.
Yeah. Yeah, elves do not generally do well in the sky.
You'll play this card. I mean, you will play this card.
You would have played Giant Spider. This is better and a relevant creature type.
It's good.
It's very good. It's, very good.
Not you don't it's I would say it's like 3rd to 5th pick playable. Like you wouldn't take.
Yeah, it's a very high pick for sure. Ixalan is Diviner, 03 for 2, ETB Explorer. Still on board.
First version of this I don't like.
I'm still on board for all of these.
I don't mind them. I don't mind this version, but it's the worst of all of them I've seen.
It's the worst rate for the creature, but it's again so cheap that you can't not play it.
Green doesn't have raid, but if the color you're also in has raid, then this goes up in value quite a bit.
For sure. Or just other uses for fucking random creatures.
Sure.
There's also like that thing that cares about +1/+1 counters. Like sometimes those are good. I don't know.
Yeah, I think that like this has a fail case of 2 mana 1/4 that might not be very attractive.
I think that's fine. 1/4 and a pseudo scry, I'm on board.
Yeah, maybe.
Ixalan's Keeper. Grizzly Bear. Oh, this is the green one. Human Shaman. 8 mana, tap, sacrifice. Target creature gets +5/+5 against trample until end of turn.
Okay.
I'm okay with this because the rate of the creature is good. Like, you'll play the Grizzly Bear, and then it just kills people on 8.
It's the first one where I'm like, I'll play this card, and I'll read the text later, Yeah. Like, no other card has done that yet.
No, even the red one, you're like, yeah, I'll play it because of the text on it. This one's like, I'll play it, and it has text on it.
What was the text again? Yeah. Exactly.
Yeah. Oh, you die? Oh, okay.
Oh, okay.
That's good. That's good text. You die is good text every time. Jade Guardian, 4 mana 2/2, hexproof, which is always fucking scary. Merfolk. When it ETBs, put a ++1 counter on target Merfolk you control. Pretty solid. There's some Merfolks that like, are unblockable or have some other like good ability when it hits them.
This card actually freaks me out. Whenever they've made a common hexproof creature, it has been playable in 100% of the cases in limited. It always finds a way. Love finds a way when it comes to hexproof creatures.
Mark of the Vampire.
Oh yeah, see that's another one. We got the Fleetwood Avon or whatever, the 2/2 flying hexproof guy.
Yep.
We had like Algae Gariel version of this, which a Lumberknot, like all these different versions of hexproof have like too expensive to be like combat relevant, but it gives an inevitability that green usually has in lieu of card advantage with your library or your graveyard. It has permanence, like extreme permanence.
Yeah.
And because it has that, and this card acts as like kind of an anthem of sorts if you're heavy in Merfolk, I have a feeling this card is going to be way better than it looks, and therefore for the first month you'll get this like 9th pick and you'll have the most insane fucking Merfolk decks people have ever seen.
Yep.
I think this card is going to be amazing until it's just great.
I agree. Hexproof is nothing to fuck with.
It is not anything to fuck with.
Jungle Delver, 1/1 for 1, 3 mana, put a ++1 counter on it. Wow, this is a huge investment. Like to get this, by the time you can pump it to 4/4, you would need it to minimum be a 4/4, and that's 12 mana plus the 1.
Play this with the Rate of Sand, folks.
Yeah. I don't know. Kumeni's Speaker, another 1 mana 1/1. There's so fucking many. And this one gets +1/+1 if you control another Merfolk or an island.
Yeah,
this one's actually playable.
Yeah, I can manage that.
Yeah, that seems doable.
Yeah.
Merfolk Branchwalker,
Best card I've ever seen in my whole life.
Goblin Piker Explorer,
Best card
Merfolk Piker Explorer.
in the history of Magic cards. It's almost better than Silvergill Adept, like almost,
Yeah.
and no cards ever come close to that. And it makes me want to play Blue-Green Merfolk, and now that new Cavernous Souls came out, I might be able to do it. This is the most exciting card I've ever seen in my entire life.
Yeah, this thing's fucked up. It's just
said that
straight
4
up
times.
great.
This really is.
Straight up great. Scooter's asking if you're going to put Collected Company in Merfolk again with this thing.
Well, it depends on whether or not the mono blue aspect of it ended up being one of the reasons why it was so good to begin with. Sometimes it's easy to overlook that why Merfolk is good has a lot more to do with its monocolor nature and its dodging of Blood Moon. But in a different sense, it's really easy to play straight blue-green Merfolk now because there's so many lands that have no drawback that get what you want to have accomplished. And it could be that we just play straight blue-green Merfolk, and Collected Company goes right into that deck.
Yeah.
And so it's nice that you can curve into, you have basically a curved ape into 8 adepts. It's a whole different ball game, and it could be that it's worth it. However, it also could be another indication that maybe we're trying too hard to make Merfolk work where it didn't work before, and that this upgrade doesn't make it playable in its own right. However, either way, I love it.
Yeah, it's sweet. New Horizons, 2G Enchant Land Aura. When it ETBs, put a +1/+1 counter on something, enchanted land has tap, add 2 mana of any one color to your mana pool. Accelerates,
Great.
fixes, +1/+1 counters are sweet. Card's solid.
Yep.
It goes in the big Dino deck, goes in the 5-color. It's the card in the 5-color green deck. And even if you're just like 2 colors in green and have a couple dinos, it's probably still worth playing.
It's great.
Old Growth Dryads, 3/3 for 1, but wait. When it enters the battlefield, they may search their library for a basic land card and put it onto the battlefield tapped. You have to know they don't have a way to get it, right?
Like Nimble Mongoose is better than this in Legacy and doesn't see, this is like got a weird aspect to it where you can punish people for not playing basics. Maybe in Standard that actually ends up mattering, but in the end, if they're putting a land into play and you're playing this at turn 1, there is no way you're ahead.
No way. Reminds me of Clear the Land in the Fundamental Turn by Zvi. Go read that article, everybody.
Oh, is that the pay 3 to draw like 5 cards might lose you the game?
Yeah. You each put all the lands in your top 5 into play. So the short version is he made a combo deck that cast Clear the Land on turn 3 and then like 1 on turn 4 or 5. And he was like, this deck is busted, and like went to a pro tour with it and just got smashed because the advantage that he gave his opponents was too much. Like,
right.
The idea of a fundamental turn is like you are a turn X deck, and if you're a turn 4 deck, that feels good against what is ostensibly, a turn 5 or 6 deck, but what he didn't account for is that casting the clear land on 3 brought them to turn 5 or 6 before he got his turn 4.
Make sure to take your goldfish out of the bowl, folks.
Yes, exactly. Pounce, 1G, instant. Target creature you control fights target creature you don't control. Sweet. Instant speed fighters do not happen very often.
Yeah. Prey up on.
Yep. Ranging Raptors, 2G for a 2/3 dino. Enrage. Farseek? Or
Holy
Rampant
shit,
Growth?
right?
Enrage Rampant Growth is pretty interesting.
Yeah, cast Rile on this and see where you're at.
You really get your fucking dinos rolling then. I love that
This
thing.
is a double strike Punisher, funny enough.
Yep. And is great with fight things and, little damage things.
Nothing about this card sucks. It's great. It could have been a 2/1 and I'd play it.
I don't know about that.
Well, I mean, it's like okay, maybe not 2/1, but it's got card advantage built in.
Yes. Ravenous Daggertooth. A 3-mana 3/2. Enrage, gain 2 life. Fine. Filler, whatever.
Another more indication that 2 damage is enough to do a lot of clearing, more than I thought.
Yeah.
And the dinosaurs aren't as big as I thought they were in a general sense. There's many that are very small.
Yeah, there are big ones, but there's a bunch of like 2 and 3 mana ones that I didn't expect to be.
I also didn't expect it.
Ripjaw Raptor, 4 mana 4/5, Enrage, draw a card. This thing is like the card that doesn't pass the Jace test that I think might be sweet.
And that smug look on its face means like it kind of knows how good it is,
Yeah. Yeah, this thing is real good. Like, it's sized for the fight cards or like the little the Ryle type effects or dual shot effects, which I didn't mention when we talked about dual shot because usually it's such an obvious sideboard card. But if you have Enrage, you definitely play it.
Yep.
Yeah, this card's just solid. I mean, these like mid-range green fatties are never great. You know, they haven't been since fucking Loxodon Hierarch or whatever. But they always see a little fringe play in constructed and are limited, you know, near bombs. So the fact that they sized this in the way that they size things like Brooding Saurion, you know, like those types of like Thrun and shit, like all those types of cards are sized this way. I don't know if the effect is impactful enough for constructed, but I wouldn't be surprised if it saw a little play.
If removal is heavily toughness based, and all the other removal is like heavily unsplashable or difficult to splash, this will see play.
Yeah. Yep. River Herald's Boon, 1G instant. Put a +1/+1 counter on target creature, and a +1/+1 counter on up to one target merfolk. So we're getting more counters, more combat tricks, more cheap combat tricks. Yeah, Siege Rhino was the last one, and that thing was fucking hard to cast. Theoretically. In reality, it turned out very easy to cast.
Interesting because it's a card. This River Herald's Boon, is made in a way that it was better. It's better for Merfolk and unplayable for everybody else, so that you can kind of get a reward for focusing on Merfolk by being able to get this like 13th to 15th pick.
Yeah, you lap this every time,
which is kind of just nice.
Yep.
So this is probably good enough to play like 2 or 3 copies in your
dedicated Merfolk tempo deck,
and you might get like 4. So be careful not to play too many because this effect in the end is kind of an expensive.
Yeah, you still need a lot of Merfolk to make it work.
Exactly.
And I agree with Missing Matter. I dig that dude's frog.
Oh yeah.
Savage Stomp.
The frog is really the focus, yeah.
Yeah. 2G sorcery. Costs 2 less if it targets a dinosaur you control. Put a +1/+1 counter on it, and then it fights.
Already better than Hunt the Weak. Just straight up better than Hunt the Weak.
Already better, and then like probably over half the time, it's just going to cost
this card's too good. This card is too good.
That's why it's uncommon, and the instant speed one is common.
Any fight card that has the word Savage in it is too good.
Savage is indicative of, I mean, Savage beating, you know.
Yeah, Savage Punch, like all these cards are just way too good.
Yep, and something that I really want.
This card especially is expensive.
I really want to fight with this Raptor, with the stomp.
Yeah, Ripjaw Raptor, Savage Stomp on turn 5 is like the biggest blowout you can imagine.
Turn 4 with a treasure.
Yeah, or even like turn 4 with the ranging Raptors, kill your 2/2 that drew a card. I mean, it's just like insane.
Yeah,
the Savage Stomp is ridiculous.
Or one of the 2 mana creatures that we've already seen. There's a lot of ways to just get there.
I mean, it's just insane.
Yeah, it's the notes. Shaper Sanctuary, G enchantment, rare. Whenever a creature you control becomes the target of a spell or ability an opponent controls, you may draw a card. Might see fringe sideboard play.
The cards like this, maybe 1 out of 10 hit the sideboards.
Yep, exactly. Slice and Twain, though. This is a legit card.
It was good mirrored, and we'll see how it holds up here. It's not very good against treasures, I can tell you that.
No, it is not. But it's real good against fucking vehicles.
Oh, yeah. There's not too many of those vehicles in this set, but in a general sense, this card existing is good to know. I mean, when this card can reliably hit a target and you can, you're not like struggling to stay alive on turn 4, this is just going to see play.
Yep. Snapping Sailback, 4/4 for 5, flash, getcha! This is like the green version of that white neck snap where it's just like people are going to fall for it in like the first week and then figure it out.
It's a 5/5 too. When you do fall for it as a 5/5,
yeah, you eat something and then it attacks as a 5/5. LOL.
Yeah. And the 4/4 version we just played end step is already kind of backbreaking enough.
Yeah.
This card is amazing.
Yep, I love it.
Green is very good. Jeez, all these green cards are good.
Yeah, green is great. Both in terms of like its commons and in its ability to fit into archetypes, the predetermined archetypes. Like you can be the Dino deck, you can be like the 5-color green deck has enough enablers. Like there's a lot of options in addition to a high power level, baseline power level.
You get 5-color pirates too, pretty easily.
Yeah, 5-color anything, man. Spike-tailed Ceratops, 5 mana, 4/4, can block an additional creature each combat. This is only
Sure.
Duo tops, bi-tops.
Not great, but I mean, not great looks great right now.
Yep. Thundering Spineback, 7 mana, 5/5, Dinosaur Lord. Other dinosaurs you control get +1/+1. And 6 mana, make a dino with trample, 3/3.
Dinosaur Glade.
Yeah, Dinosaur Glade, why not? Except it is a dinosaur.
Wow, they just made another. They had the 2/1 Merfolk Explorer. Now they make a 3 mana 2/2 Explorer. Also, that's a Merfolk. I mean, they're just pushing this Silver Gill Adept shit through the roof.
They want you to smooth out your draws. They want you to get your value, and they want you to curve out nicely. They're very nice to us in this set.
I told you the Green Merfolk were good, but I forgot there was 2 Explorers.
Yeah, it's no joke. I fucking love all those cards.
Yeah, and the 2/2 for 3 is the best. The Green Merfolk ones are the best versions of the Explorers so far.
Yeah, 2/1 for 2, 0/3 for 2 is not great, and 2/2 for 3, all great.
Yeah, that one's the Human Scout. Don't get the Merfolk involved in this.
Verdant Rebirth, 1G instant. Until end of turn, target creature gains. When this creature dies, return it to its owner's hand. Draw a card. Fine. Theoretically, a 2-for-1.
Better than like the previous versions of like regenerated creature draw a card, because you might get a come into play ability.
Yeah.
But like it's still narrow. In a sense of being, it's kind of cool with Enrage in a way. So like it turns Enrage into a come into play ability, which is nice. So it'll probably be fine to play a copy of this.
It cycles at worst, which like weird fringy combat tricks have the problem of having no escape hatch. So when they have one built in, it's really useful.
Yep.
Verdant Sun's Avatar.
Not to play, so that makes it significantly worse, but still maybe playable.
What?
It goes back into the hand instead of to play, which I assumed it was play.
No, yeah, it's back in hand, which is mostly worse, but like somewhat abusable in very specific scenarios with specific cards.
Mostly worse. I would say that went from like kind of playable to like I might play it once or twice.
Yeah. Verdant Sun's Avatar, 7 mana, 5/5. When it or another creature enters the battlefield under control, gain life to that creature's toughness. This is no Thragtusk.
Yeah, I mean, it looks grandiose, like it's trying to prove something to the people looking at it.
Yeah, the art is way more powerful than the card.
Yeah, the art's fronting.
Wow, this card's insane. Vineshaper Mystic at uncommon. 2G for a 1/3. ETB, put a ++1 counter on each of up to 2 Merfolk creatures you control. So presumably it's a 2/4 for 3.
Put a ++1 counter on another creature you control.
Put a +1/+1 counter on another one.
You know what this reminds me of? It reminds me of that one Force Mage Advocate. This card's ridiculous.
Yeah, it's really good. Waker of the Wilds, 2GG for a 3/3 Merfolk Shaman. She's got like a Madonna or Katy Perry breastplate pointies.
But a quick thing. It's not Force Mage Advocate. It's Trusted Force Mage as well. The bonding one. Sorry.
Yes. The Advocate's like the +2/+2 until on a turn one.
No, it's the one that's ++1 counter forever if you return a card from their graveyard to the hand.
Oh, sure.
I see one.
Waker of the Wilds is a 3/3. It's a hill giant with XGG. Put X ++1 counters on target land you control. It's a creature with haste. That's still a land.
Make sure you pay 3. This card's fine because it's a Merfolk and there's a lot of Merfolk synergies, so you're probably going to end up wanting this card and getting it like 7th pick maybe.
Yep.
But like it's the late game, you get a lot of value.
You just win.
Yeah, I mean, like remember the old in the Eldrazi set how like what was the ability where you could make things in the lands into like 3/3s and 4/4s? Yeah, like it started with a C. It was like it made lands into 3/3s if you pay like a certain cost.
Sure.
It was like Kicker. What was that card? Awaken. Yeah, Awaken. So it's like Awaken where it's worse than it looks. Like Awaken looks really good up front, but we realized pretty soon like that's a hell of a cost to pay.
Yeah.
That land is not nothing. So I have a feeling this card's only late game and not a very mid game card. So like
agreed.
It's more like an Invoker.
You won't activate this. You won't happily activate this for less than 4.
Treat this like an Invoker win the game spell, not a Centaur Glade win the game spell.
Yes, agreed. Wild Growth Walker, 1G for a 1/3. Whenever a creature you control explores, put a +1/+1 counter on it and gain 3 life. With all these fucking cheap, awesome green explorers, this thing could just go off.
Absolutely. And once again, it's bad enough that you might get it late because you're not trying to play a 2-mana 1/3.
Yeah.
Especially
well, the
pack
Explorer
3.
cards are so good that people are going to be taking them anyway, but
Yeah,
right.
it's not a high pick in its own right, and so you might get one that would be really good for your deck. It's cool. There's a lot of cards like that. I like that they focus long ballable cards into this deck.
Yep.
Makes you wish it was a 1/2 kind of. Make it worse.
Make it worse so I can lap it.
That's exactly what I'm talking about.
All right, multicolor. Admiral Beckett Brass. 1